people think we are making it up.
Hello, and we're back with another episode of Migraine Monday. Today we're going to be talking about migraine triggers, which taboo. I hate the word trigger. I really feel like it perpetuates migraine stigma. And for people who don't have it or might not otherwise learn about migraine disease, they will often take trigger as a cause and a reason and automatically think that there's something that we could be doing that is going to benefit our situation, cure us, and make us available to you at all times. And that's just not the case. That's why they have lots of medications and they're working on doing the preventative treatments, etc., etc. Let's jump right into it. There are triggers, if you will, but basically what it is, it will be genetics. Obviously, your diet can have something to do with it in the sense of things can perpetuate or make it worse. Weather changes might be something, changes in sleep, and anxiety and stress. These are things that people have reported can perpetuate or make it worse or cause episodes. However, I will also say the problem with using the word trigger is that oftentimes, for example, anxiety and stress is also a symptom of migraine disease, not a trigger, not a cause. But just speaking from somebody with chronic migraine disease, whether or not I am extremely healthy, meditating, and just like zenned out and not stressed out, I personally don't have that ability to sign off or on from migraine. It's not a choice. As you remember me telling you, genetics is a key component for migraine. I have it heavily in my family. My mother has it. I have cousins who have it. So it's not unlikely that it's going to be a component or a fact. We're calling it a trigger, so I'm going to get into the second really hard and difficult thing to control, which is the weather changes. Now, this is not obviously something we really can control, and it's not really related to allergies. It's actually related to the atmospheric pressure and the temperature and possibly humidity. And so these are things that we really just can't control, and we're going to deal with migraine episodes more frequently in this time. When we talk about the diet trigger, it is a complex conversation because there are people out there, every time they eat peanuts, they get a migraine attack. Or every time they have MSG, they get a migraine attack. Or every time they have dried fruit, they get a migraine attack. I know that there's those people, but I wanted to make sure that some people out there understand the distinction between episodic migraine, causal migraine, chronic migraine. There is a variety of migraine types out there, and the stigma gets perpetuated when we think that, well, if you just ate healthier or you stopped eating nuts or you stopped eating gluten, you wouldn't have migraine anymore and you'd be able to live a normal life. I wish that I could tell you that that was true. I participated in bodybuilding as a chronic migraine sufferer, and obviously that is a very intense diet and exercise regimen, but more importantly, it's a very clean way of eating and treating your body. You're drinking a gallon of water a day, you're eating a lot of vegetables, you're not using things like butter and, lots of heavy things in your diet. It's very clean. And I want to just tell you that during that time, I never saw a decrease in my migraine attacks. Never. It didn't help me at all whatsoever. And so that's really important to note, because when we automatically think that it just works for everybody, it really creates this stigma in migraine sufferers that we're just not trying hard enough. And if we would just eat better, if we were just smarter, if we just drink more water, we wouldn't have this problem. Well, I'm here to tell you that ain't the truth. It's just not. And so I really, really need to just hammer that down, because it sucks to be somebody that has this disease and be kind of portrayed like I'm a wimp, or I haven't tried hard enough, or if I just was more disciplined in my life, then I wouldn't have this. And it's obviously not been my story. So as long as we kind of are on the same page with knowing that, don't get me wrong, I think eating healthy and being active is extremely healthy no matter what your condition is, and it's going to benefit and be a positive aspect in your life and probably increase your happiness and overall well-being. But it's not going to cure you necessarily. So let's just remind you of that and move forward now. And we're going to talk a little bit more about sleeping habits and also about the mood stuff. Because migraine also has this mood thing, and a lot of stigma is behind, well, you're just stressed out and that's why you're having a migraine. And sometimes people use the word migraine that don't have migraine, like they had a really bad day and then they say something to you like, gosh, this is gonna give me a migraine. And you're like, have you ever had one of those? Because let me tell you, there's a big distinction over a tension headache and a migraine. If you can take Excedrin over the counter, and I'm not trying to discount any other migraine sufferers out there, because I guess I've heard some Excedrin migraine might work for some people. There's no way in hell that I'm going to take an Excedrin migraine and be okay. Never. I end up in the ER, okay? This is like a very big distinction. I cannot function. I cannot communicate effectively. There's a lot of other things going on. And there is a mood component that does go with migraine. Like in the middle or right before I'm about to have the pain of a migraine, I often do feel on edge, a little bit more irritable, restless. So those are just symptoms that I am in the middle of a attack. And then also just kind of piggyback on the sleep thing. That actually for me wasn't necessarily a cause. It was a symptom as well, because I was constantly having these attacks and I was having a hard time sleeping through the night. So when I got Aimovig a couple weeks ago, I noticed that was the biggest difference that I've had, was that I'm finding that I'm feeling more rested when I wake up, and like I actually slept through the night. I'm not waking up every hour. It's pretty crazy. I don't know. It's a godsend so far. And like I said, I will be doing a video on that when I get my next injection. So moving forward, the last thing I really want to talk about when it comes to triggers is the word migraines, plural. It's a little bit taboo in the migraine community because the stigma issue is so huge with migraine sufferers because of this word, trigger. I really believe that that's a big factor. And also, just to note this, there's a lot of businesses out there that use the words in their advertisements, can cure migraine. Like chiropractors, I'm sure you've seen it. There's other things that come out, devices, all these types of huge major claims that they fix people with migraine. That's also a really hard and horrible thing to do because, first of all, there's no known cure for migraine. There are things that help us manage and also decrease our level of pain. And obviously, if you know something is going to trigger your migraine, then you probably won't do it anymore because the migraine is so bad, you would do anything not to have them, I promise. But it is so bad that our language perpetuates the stigma. And so another part of that is using the words migraines. And I'm guilty of this. I say this all the time. I have migraines. Like it's plural. And it's really not. It's I have a migraine disease, and unfortunately it happens more than not. 20 days out of the month I am suffering in pain, having to utilize medication in order to live normally. And there's a lot of residual effects that go with that give me problems with living a normal life. And so for me, it's not really migraines. And when we say migraines, it's kind of like, oh, it happens once in a while. And for me, that's not true. It might be true for you. It's not true for me. So just having said that, there's just a couple of things that really drive, I think, the migraine community crazy. And it would be the language and just even this notion and topic of triggers. So that's pretty much all I have for today. I'm keeping it really short and sweet today. So I hope that you enjoyed today's topic of triggers, and I can't wait to see you guys next Monday for another Migraine Monday. But until then, I hope that you're having less migraine days and more happy, joyous, and free moments in your life. All right, see you soon.